had a viewer write in saying, I've just been diagnosed with ADHD at 38. Is it normal to feel like I've wasted years of my life not knowing? And honestly, I
Wow.
think, yeah, I know, right? I think that question, it captures something so many late diagnosed people are wrestling with. You go through school, jobs, relationships, constantly feeling like you're out of step, and then someone hands you four letters, and suddenly your whole past looks different.
Yeah, totally. It's like someone just slipped you the director's cut of your own life with commentary, isn't it? And the
100%.
temptation is to sit there thinking, why on earth didn't anyone give me this version sooner? But
Mm,
that sense, I suppose, of wasted years, I think it's real, but I also think it's deceptive. Because the you that you were at 20,
mm,
without the diagnosis,
mm-hmm,
I mean, that was still you. You still built
mm,
friendships. You still read books. You still survived. You know,
mm.
you didn't stop existing because you didn't have a label.
Yeah, and that's such an important point because diagnosis doesn't retroactively like erase your life, but
Right.
it does change the lens, and many
Hmm.
people describe this kind of flood of memories that suddenly click into place and why you struggle to finish essays, why you were always late, why every, this is embarrassing, maybe guilty, but why every flat you lived in had at least one unpaid electricity bill stuffed behind the toaster. And it can be quite grief like, actually. You're mourning the version of life you might have had if you had known sooner, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, grief always comes with bargaining, though, doesn't it?
Mm.
That voice in your head which is saying, if only I'd been diagnosed at 12, I'd be running Goldman Sachs by now. I mean, you probably wouldn't.
I know
Most
people.
people can't run Goldman Sachs without being morally bankrupt, at least. But the fantasy of lost potential, I mean, it can be quite intoxicating.
I mean, well, yeah, okay, quite. But I actually often say to clients, be careful you're not rewriting your past as a series of failures. Because,
Right,
yes, of course, there are struggles and those are important, but there are also incredible adaptations.
right.
People with undiagnosed ADHD often become masterful at improvising, at thinking on their feet, at
Mm.
spinning 10 plates at once, because otherwise everything crashes. And those are skills, and even if they came from difficulty, they're still important to acknowledge, you
Oh,
know.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I knew someone who never managed to hand in their prep on time. Prep being homework, for those of you who didn't go to boarding school. Um, and yet became one of the most successful crisis managers in the city because they
Amazing.
thrive on chaos.
Right,
So
right.
their brain has been training for it since school. And the diagnosis doesn't invalidate that ingenuity. It explains it, I suppose, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But I really want to acknowledge that rawness. It's normal to feel angry or sad,
Hmm.
even, and actually even cheated, because especially if you think of like teachers or bosses or friends or partners who dismissed you as lazy or careless, that sting doesn't go away overnight just because you've been diagnosed.
No, that's true. And I think this is where I think psychology and luxury have a strange overlap. I
Oh,
always have
okay.
to get luxury into it,
Obviously.
so bear with me.
Yes, yes, okay. I'm bearing.
In luxury, the story is often as valuable as the product itself.
Hmm.
In
Yes.
diagnoses, the story you tell yourself afterwards shapes whether it feels like a waste or a turning point, right?
Hmm.
So if you frame it as, I lost 2 decades, that's a
Mm.
pretty heavy bag to carry. Whereas if you frame
Yeah.
it as, I survived 2 decades without the map, and
Hmm.
now I finally got one, that feels a lot less tragic and a lot more heroic.
Yeah. That's actually quite a really beautiful way of putting it because reframing isn't about denying the pain, and it doesn't
No.
deny the pain. It's not saying you don't get to have that, but it does shift the weight. And
Mm.
sometimes that reframing comes through community. Talking to others who are diagnosed later can be really quite profoundly healing because you stop
Oh, yeah.
feeling like the one who was hopelessly disorganized, or sorry, the only hopelessly
Yeah.
disorganized person on the planet, right? Because
Yeah.
that is what it feels like. And you start seeing patterns. Yeah.
Yeah, and then suddenly you start to realize there's a whole tribe of people who
Mm.
also have 10 tabs open.
10.
You know,
Is that
both
all?
I'm being nice. 10 tabs open, both in their browser and in their brain.
Hmm.
And so, you're not defective, you're just playing a different instrument. Oh, and quite possibly a psychopath with that many tabs open.
No. Oh dear. I mean, aside from the 10 tabs and the psychopathy, I do
Mm,
think there's also a gendered piece to this as
mm,
well, because many women in particular are diagnosed so much later because their symptoms don't fit in to that kind of hyperactive boy bouncing off walls stereotype. And instead, it's kind of an internal chaos experience of,
right.
they're masking or they're, into perfectionism and often feel doubly robbed because they were invisible for so long.
Yeah, that's true. That's the same with autism, though, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
The diagnostic frameworks were built around boys, so women and girls fell through the crack, didn't they? Yeah,
yeah.
it's like designing a Savile Row suit. If you only measure one body type, then you're going to miss half the population.
I mean, trust you, trust you to bring tailoring into it. But yes, I mean, God damn it, the point is right, and the point stands, and kind of that sense of invisibility contributes to all that kind of wasted years feeling. It wasn't just that you struggled; it's that no one saw you properly either.
Right, which is enraging, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because, but then again, anger can be quite a useful fuel. Some of the most interesting people I've met,
Mm,
uh, they channel that fury into advocacy and into
mm,
redesigning workplaces, into writing books. So
mm.
it's not wasted energy, it's just redirected.
Yeah. Well, yes, absolutely. And I want to say it's sort of really normal to feel like you wasted years, but it's not
Hmm.
the whole story. Those years
No.
gave you things. They gave you resilience, they gave you creativity, they gave you humor because, like, let's be honest, most people with ADHD develop a wicked sense of humor to kind of survive the constant chaos.
Yeah, but they have to, you know.
Yeah.
If you can't laugh at the fact that you put your phone in the fridge and the milk in your handbag, then you're not going to last very long, are you?
Stop spying on me. But exactly, and then, like, there's another piece to this as well, which is identity, because some people
Hmm.
feel really liberated by that diagnosis and other people
Hmm.
feel really boxed in by it, and it kind of takes time to find your balance you
Yeah,
know
it does. I'd probably compare it to being told that you're left-handed in a right-handed world.
mm,
At first, you're absolutely furious that nobody gave you a left-handed pair of scissors. And then you realize that you can actually still write and you can still cut, but you just write differently.
that's an amazing analogy. I like that because it reminds us that diagnosis isn't actually a magic wand. It
No.
doesn't stop those struggles. It doesn't erase them. You don't suddenly magically stop having them. It
Mm.
just gives you language and options. It gives you medication, coaching, therapy, and all of that might help. But the biggest shift, really, I think, is often just self understanding and compassion.
And I think that's the priceless bit, really, because
Yeah.
although I suppose in true ADHD style, you may
Or,
also forget it or
yes.
misplace it and then rediscover it 6 months later under a pile of unopened post.
I
So, yes.
mean, okay. So, God, stop spying. It's really scary. This sort of practical takeaway, though, here is that kind of grief is normal,
Oh,
but so
sure.
is relief too. So it's really important to honour both of those, and that the years weren't wasted. They shaped skills and quirks that you might not even realise yet that you have. And diagnosis doesn't diminish your past, it enriches your story moving forward.
Yeah, and you haven't wasted time. You've been training in hard mode, basically, without the manual. And now you've actually got the manual, and if anything, that makes you quite dangerous, really.
Well, dangerous in the best way, though, right?
Okay, fine.
Maybe dangerous in the best way, and maybe just a bit better at remembering to pay that electricity bill.
Yeah, let's not promise miracles, Helen.
Yeah, fair. Okay.